Okay, so in 1971, I know you guys are like, that's before you were born, AJ. It's fine, I'll get there. In 1971, Gene Wilder starred in a movie called Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It is a wonderful musical movie. I assume maybe most of you have probably seen it. If you haven't, you should. They remade it in 2005, and it's not the same. Don't watch that one. Watch the one from 1971. So, if you've never seen this movie, I'm going to spoil the whole thing for you, so I'm just going to apologize about that up front. What this movie is the story of a poor boy named Charlie Bucket. And Charlie lives in this town, actually the town where it happens to be that the big, gigantic Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, the people that made chocolate for the whole world, he happened to live there. And no one had ever seen the Wonka guy forever. He just kind of was a recluse inside of the factory. And no one had ever gone in. And then one day, Willy Wonka decides that he is going to put 5 golden tickets hidden in chocolate bars that are going to be distributed all over the world. And 5 kids are going to just happen to open those chocolate bars and get to go inside of the chocolate factory with these 5 golden tickets. And they're the kids. There's the one kid, her dad just buys thousands and thousands of chocolate bars until they find one because she gets to go in because she's a special girl. And then you have other kids that, are maybe not the nicest or the most loving kids or most generous kids that are also on this list of kids. And then there's Charlie, who just happens to have found $1 on the street and was able to buy a single chocolate bar. And he happens to find a golden ticket. And so he gets to go to the factory. Sounds like any kid's dream, right? A golden ticket to go to a magical chocolate factory? I'd be in. Someone gave me a golden ticket. I'd be pretty excited for that kind of day, too. Now, before the kids go to the factory, though, a guy kind of pulls them into a side alley and tells them that he will give them a crazy amount of money if they were to bring out one of the everlasting gobstoppers and give it to him. If they were to take one of these from the chocolate factory. So they go to the factory, they have a magical day, they sing lots of songs, and slowly, one by one, the kids start disappearing because they're doing greedy things inside of the factory. Like the one kid that just starts drinking up all of the chocolate and gets sucked into the chocolate tube thing. Or the girl that's so determined to have her own golden egg-laying goose that she falls down the chute and disappears. And slowly but surely, the only kid left is Charlie. And Charlie returns the everlasting gobstopper to Willy Wonka. He decides that it isn't worth it. And then that's when Willy Wonka decides that, oh, Charlie's a really good kid. And he didn't give in to this temptation, and he didn't sell me out to my enemies, because that was essentially what that was about. And you find out all along that that guy, the whole thing was a setup to see if they would do it, to see if the kids would sell him out. And Charlie was the only kid that didn't. Charlie was the kid that inherited all of the riches of the chocolate factory because he was good and he was kind and he was loyal. I imagine that this is Jesus telling a parable with this story. You know, this is definitely something Jesus would say. The kingdom of God is like a magical chocolate factory run by a reclusive billionaire, and the only way in is a golden ticket. That sounds like something Jesus would say, right? He says things like that all the time. This story that we have of the chocolate factory would be like a parable that Jesus would tell about greed and about the qualities that it would take in a person worthy of the kingdom of God. See, this week in our gospel lesson, the Pharisees are trying to trick him again. You know, we know where we're at. It's that week leading up to Jesus' death. They literally want to get him to say something wrong so that they can arrest him. And so they're going after him again this morning. They're trying to get him to say something against the empire about paying taxes. Jesus is not going to fall for it. Give to the emperor what is the emperor's, and give to God what is God's. See, God works with a different kind of currency, right? I imagine that if Willy Wonka just wanted to sell the chocolate factory outright to whomever would pay for it, it would be worth billions of dollars, right? Like if that's all that he was in it for, he would have made so much money if he would have just tried to sell it. Sell it to the highest bidder, right? Imagine that. Instead, he used golden tickets to invite children to the gates. See, Jesus is our golden ticket, the way in. The kingdom of God isn't for sale. It's nothing that you can pay for. That's actually the foundation, the very foundation of the Lutheran Church, this exact thing right here. In 1517, this priest named Martin Luther realized that the church was selling these things called indulgences, which were essentially admittance into heaven. That the church was making money selling people their way into heaven. And so on October 31st, in 1517, Martin Luther posted the 95 Theses on his church's door and started the Protestant Reformation in Germany. Because you can't buy your way in to the chocolate factory, right? And we'll obviously talk more about that next week, because next Sunday is Reformation Sunday. Some of you might think it's Halloween. It's not. It's Reformation Sunday. Every good Lutheran knows that. I'm just kidding with you. Another translation in our passage this morning says, "Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and render unto God what is God's." So what is the currency of God? If God's not interested in our money and our riches, if not interested in the billions and billions of dollars that this magical chocolate factory would be, what do we learn from Willy Wonka? What do we learn in what God is looking for in each and every one of us? It's that thing that Charlie gives: honesty, kindness, selflessness, in the exact opposite of what the Pharisees are trying to trap Jesus in, to not be greedy. This is the currency of God. Charlie doesn't sell out Willy Wonka. Instead, he shows them that kindness and that loyalty and that kind of love that is shared. See, we've already been given the golden ticket. It's up to us from here what to do with it. What to do in being good and kind and just with our golden tickets. So you've already got the way in. What are you going to do in the chocolate factory? Amen.